Liverpool suffered a surprise defeat to Nottingham Forest on Saturday, 1-0 at home at Anfield, with Hudson-Odoi scoring in the second half. Yeah, what did you make of that? Any concern for Liverpool fans now? They had a great start, but a bit of a wobble there against Forest.
I mean, it's early days for Arnie Slot, isn't it? And they've had a pretty decent start. I feel like the issues that Liverpool faced that day aren't exactly new. I think the issues, what I can tell from Liverpool fans, is that they're very similar to last season, where a sort of they had no solution to Forest just massively congesting the centre of the pitch and sitting deep a little bit. And I think Slot as well, 'cause obviously he wants to play more of a possession based game than Klopp did. Klopp obviously moved that way a little bit compared to his early years at Liverpool, but Slot is going a lot more Guardiola heavy, and I think he's been very open about that he's a big admirer of that kind of football. And obviously the sort of downside of that football is that there are a billion templates of how to defend against that football. So it's not exactly new information for Forest to defend against this kind of style. And I do feel like, it's going to be interesting to see how he reacts to it. Obviously hugely frustrating for Liverpool, that defeat. I still take them very seriously. It's going to be interesting for me just to see how they get on throughout the season. I think the bigger issues for them are just the contract situations. There's so many sort of spinning plates that it could all come crashing down at any moment for them. And the fear for, if I was a Liverpool fan, and I'm not, thankfully, I enjoy their failure as a City fan, but the fear for me if I was a Liverpool fan would be, if it's fine to lose your game here and there, but I would be wondering what the players think, if that happens, because it's a new manager. And when you have a new manager, you're naturally hesitant. You're naturally wondering how those ideas are going to work. And the temptation could be to feel like, well, he's not Jurgen Klopp, because no one's going to be. And it's very hard to be the guy who follows, the legend. And obviously Klopp is loved there because of what he did for Liverpool over the past, decade or so. So the fear must be that these players must be thinking, well, get to January and see how we feel. And then when you've got the likes of, I think it's Salah, Van Dijk, and Trent, isn't it? Who've all
Yeah,
got
that's right. Yeah,
just they're in the last season of their contracts.
yeah.
To me, that would be the bigger fear, where a few sort of frustrating defeats could feed into indecisiveness around their futures. Because once again, if this was Klopp, I don't think they'd be worried. But because it's a new manager and he looks really good and he seems like a really nice guy and he's got a good pedigree, but yeah, they could be thinking, well, it was his time, maybe it's our time. So I think that to me is where my head would be as a Liverpool fan. I'd be more worried about what it says for the rest of the season as opposed to the performance. I do think they'll, I don't think it was an embarrassing defeat, like losing to Forest. It can happen, City have had tough games against Forest before, so I understand that that's never going to be easy. But I feel like, it's early days for them on the pitch. They'll have to improve a little bit. It was frustrating for them. I suspect Slot will start to work out different ways of getting at Liverpool, and I also feel like if an early season performance, if you're playing a new style, it's possession based, it's very hard to get that right. It requires a lot of intricacies. It requires rhythm, consistency, match practice, and it's easier to defend against if the team is not fully versed in it. So I think Forest were probably just a little bit too wily and a little bit too more set in the ways for Liverpool, who are trying to learn something new still.